Hey, welcome back to another video. My name is Struzyna. This is my wife, Kristin. We are with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International. Thanks for being here on our Q4 Bay Area housing market update. On this video, what we've decided to do, instead of show you a bunch of graphs and charts and stats, we decided to do a little actual real life exercise to try to explain what's going on in the real world. If you get some value out of this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because we're going to continue to put out content like this for the rest of the month and of course all next year, so you're not going to want to miss any of it.
And do be sure to stay all the way to the end to hear a couple of our takeaways based on all of this data.
So to provide you some context, what we did is we went back and looked for properties that sold between May and July of 2021 in Alameda on the main island and looked at sort of that median sales price of between 1.2 and 1.25. So it's generally considered the top end of that entry level. And then we figured out what that property was on average, and we comped that same property here in November of 2022, and this is what we found.
So if we're looking at the data from May to July of 2021, those 10 homes, what we found is that on average, they had 2.6 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, and people were getting 1,305 square feet on average. These homes that sold at this 1.223 million average were on average 29% over the list price. So we had a lot of that teaser pricing that we talk about here in the Bay Area, and then buyers going significantly over that pricing for the final sales price. Compare that to November 2022. We had 4 homes that sold, that closed in November 2022. On average, these homes were a little bit smaller, so 1,255 square feet on average, 2 bedrooms, 1.4 bathrooms. And the sale for that data set is 1.137. So just a little bit under what it was between May and July of 2021. To be exact, 7.03% under. So we didn't see the huge drop that you might have been hearing about in the media. And interestingly, on average, these homes sold just 6% over the list price. So we did not see that big teaser pricing model as much.
So why is this the case? What is leading to this? Well, simply it's a supply and demand issue. And so what we dug into is the cost of ownership of both of those homes. So we looked back at the data set from 2021, assuming 20% down, 30-year fixed, and 3% interest rate, you had a P&I, principal and interest payment, of $4,125. Taxes based on Alameda taxes are $1,184, $200 of insurance for a total monthly payment of $5,509 for that 2-bed, 2.5 bed, 1.5 bathroom, 1,300 square foot home in Alameda. Fast forward to November of 2022, we're at 7.5% interest rates, plus or minus, of course, but assuming 7.5%, 20% down, and a 30-year fixed, that principal and interest payment alone went up 54.18% to $6,360. The taxes went down a little bit because it is based on sales price to $1,101. We assume the same insurance payment, but in total, the monthly cost of ownership for that same house, roughly speaking, 14, 16 months later, you're looking at a 39% increase up to $7,661. So the same property, even though it is costing less to purchase, is costing a lot more to own.
So after we saw the numbers and saw this significant jump, which we were anticipating based on interest rates having gone up, we went through the exercise of, okay, what would it take to make the payment more palatable? So what would it take in a reduction of home value to make the monthly payment more palatable to buyers? What we found is that if we went with a big reduction in price, so let's say we took 20% price reduction off of those May to July 2021 values, this same home would be selling for $978,400. What that does is it brings the principal and interest payment down. And remember, we're staying at the 7.5% interest rate. It makes the principal and interest payments down to $5,473 a month. Assuming taxes are $948 and the same insurance, that brings the monthly payment to $6,620 a month. So you're still not down at what you were in the middle of 2021, but you're a lot closer than you are right now.
In fact, it's roughly 20% more to own that same house, even assuming a 20% price reduction from that 2021 number. You're still paying about 20% more every month to own and operate that property. In a nutshell, this is what we're seeing across the Bay Area. Now, one thing you really have to know is that these are all based on averages. So there are going to be properties that perform above and of course below the average. So if you are in a situation where there's a property that you think you can get that 20, 25, 30% discount from where it was selling, you might be able to start to break even if you have that higher interest rate. But ultimately, the actuals, what we're seeing on the ground, is not that on average. You're not getting that deep discount because simply there's a lack of inventory. Now, if inventory comes up or interest rates go down significantly over the next couple of quarters, this all can change. But right now, this is the gridlock. This is what we're seeing. The price that buyers are willing to pay is significantly below where some of these properties are actually selling, and it's harder and harder to bridge the gap because the sellers, of course, are looking at the historical sales data. They want the price that their neighbor got 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago, right? And buyers are then looking at that PITI, that 20 to 40% increase of what they would have had to pay for the same property every month, and trying to rationalize how $7,661 makes sense for this 2-bed, 1.5 bath, and 1,255 square foot home, right? And so that's where the gap is, that's where the divide is, and that's where we're seeing this gridlock and this tension occur, and that's really ultimately what is causing our market to slow down significantly. Transactions take a lot longer to put together, and ultimately we're just having to get more creative.
Speaking of creative, one of the things that we are really talking with our buyers about is making sure that you've got a fabulous lender on your team, one of the most important things. Because a great lender is going to be able to take all of your financials, look at every little piece of it, and then start to get creative with all the different avenues that you might be able to utilize in order to play with this payment number every month. For example, we've talked about the 3-2-1 buy down and similar type programs that help you sort of step into a higher mortgage payment year by year, and ideally put some of that, if we can negotiate it, onto a seller who can help you make those payments over the first couple of years. So that's just one of the options out there. There are several out there, but like Hans said, what we're seeing is that a lot of buyers are crunching the numbers just like we just did, seeing what the payments are, and deciding to park themselves on the sidelines as a result.
One other creative thought that might maybe work in some scenarios that we just negotiated for someone is a lease option. That's not the point of this video, but simply they're going to move into the property as a tenant. They're going to have an option to purchase it at a given price within the next 6 months. And in this case, it'll work because they're going to file their taxes in January. Filing the taxes gives them a lot more lending options, and they're going to get a better rate and better terms. So they're going to be able to pay the price that we locked in after they do the taxes. And so in that particular situation, it worked out. There are many other types of scenarios that you can employ, but if you can't get that price to come down low enough so you're comfortable, you have to start looking at some of these creative options. And ultimately, because people are so fixated on the 30-year fixed number and interest rate, it is putting them on the sidelines. And so there are those opportunities out there while people are parked on the sidelines, if you're willing to look at them.
So if you're watching this and you're thinking about buying a house, potentially you're not really sure, you're maybe crunching the numbers on a mortgage calculator online, and you're not sure how to put this all together, feel free to reach out to us and have a conversation. At the very least, we can talk through some of the options for you and what might work in that case.
And one final note for you people considering a purchase in 2023 is the loan limits are going up. We did a video on that topic. We won't dive into it here, but it'll be linked right here. You can click on it, watch it after this one, and just know that that is going to, especially in the model and in the scenario that we just presented, give you more options on the lending side.
Thank you so much for being here. As always, if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one because we're going to continue to put out content just like this, and you won't want to miss it.